This morning. First, we're going to get a look at your stock market recap. The S&P 500 is up 1%, the NASDAQ up 2%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is slightly up 2.2%. Pre-market numbers this morning, though, showing that all three of those expected open slightly lower this morning. And with the end of 2022 quickly approaching, it is hard to believe, but many of us are already contemplating our New Year's resolutions. Maybe you're wanting to drop 20 pounds, or maybe eat a little healthier, or maybe you're wanting to grow your assets. So yes, we are talking about financial resolutions, and joining us now to help us sort through these ideas is Mark Gravicheski from the Quad Cities Investment Group. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning to you, David. Very happy Monday. Great to see you again.
Great to see you as well. So what would you say would be one of the top financial resolutions that you would suggest for next year?
David, one of my biggest recommendations is to reduce debt that carries a high interest rate, especially those credit card debts. Over the past year, credit card debt in the United States has absolutely soared to record levels, with the average consumer balance now around $6,000. And as interest rates have soared, the average interest rate people are being charged on those credit card balances is around 20%. In some cases, it's even higher. And that means more of your money is used to simply pay the interest you're being charged, rather than paying down the actual debt itself. Another option, David, is to see if you're able to, transfer maybe some or all of your credit card balance to one that offers a much lower interest rate. Some cards offer a 0% promotional rate for maybe even up to 12 months, and this will allow you to more quickly pay off that high interest credit card debt.
All right, great tips there. And some experts are arguing that one of our resolutions should be to finally make those home repairs or improvements that we've been putting off. Many of us putting it off because it just is so expensive, supply chain through the pandemic and everything going up in price. It's been hard to pay for that. But the money that we put into our house can save us money down the road in some cases, potentially. So what are your thoughts on this?
For home repairs, David, look, I get it. People need to fix things to get them back to working order or prevent further damage. It's what they call the joys of home ownership. And trust me, over the last year, I've had a lot of joy thrown my way in home repairs. But with high inflation, rising interest rates, and a high probability of a recession next year in 2023, home improvement, David, is one area I would suggest extreme caution on. With high inflation, these projects will now cost you a lot more money to complete than they did literally just a couple of years ago. With high interest rates, it will now cost you a lot more to borrow that money to actually fund many of those home renovations. And with the expected economic downturn we're seeing next year, you need to consider if your job is potentially at risk. In other words, you need to carefully assess if now is the right time to be considering these home improvement projects that can cost you a lot of money.
So we talked about paying down our debts. We've talked about being careful if we're going to make renovations. What are some other financial resolutions that people may consider to better their financial health in the new year?
As with any resolution, David, try to be specific, but most of all, realistic. Don't get overwhelmed, and maybe just pick one resolution to start. But here are some great ideas, kind of what I like to call piggy bank resolutions. First, maybe keep track of your expenses. Most people don't have any idea how much they're spending or where that money is actually going. But by keeping better track of your expenses, you can then decide if you want or need to make any changes to your spending habits. Try to build an emergency fund. I know, David, times are very tough right now with decades high inflation, but it is recommended to have about 3 to 6 months of expenses in some type of emergency fund. But an easy one, though, is review your credit report. With the heightened risk of data breaches, identity theft, it's very important to review your credit report. Now, Each year, you are entitled to one free credit report from each of the three major credit reporting agencies, and you can go to annualcreditreport.com to start that process. And finally, David, I would say estate planning. Do you have a will? Do you have financial health care powers of attorney? Understandably, planning for your death or incapacity is a hard and challenging and sometimes awkward thing to do, but it is very, very important.
Yeah, and it may be something that people maybe my age are thinking, well, I don't have to worry about that, right? But it is a serious thing that you should be thinking about. So, all right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mark. We will see you next Monday.
Enjoy the rest of your week, David. Take
You
care.
as well. Thank you.